Stay close,
3,
stay tuned.
2, 1,
Something's coming soon.
0. All engine running. Liftoff. We
Stay
have a
close,
liftoff.
stay
32
tuned.
minutes past the hour. Liftoff.
We launch for you. We launch, stay tuned. Somewhere past noon. The city in bloom.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're with another episode of Launched with Start of Miami. And to my right, your left, we have the wonderful, the amazing, the so inspirational Anel De Castro. Now, I would love to tell you about her story, but I'm gonna let her talk about her story and all of the different things that led to who she is. She's an author, thought leader, inspirational movement maker, amongst many things. So Anel, Anel, first, tell the people more about who you are, what you're doing, and ultimately how you got started.
Do we have an hour? No, I'm kidding. Hi, everybody. If you don't know who I am, my name is Anel De Castro. As X was just mentioning, I had the privilege of publishing a book about 1.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I had my launch here at Start of Miami. This is my home. The book is about all of the miracles that God has delivered me through. I would say from basically my inception until I was about somewhere in my early 30s. The book took about 8 years to write. The main thing and the main idea, I would say the main driver as to why I started writing the book in the first place was when I was in my early 30s, I want to say 32, 33, by the thin threads of life and how God works, came to the realization that I was trafficked when I was 5 by one of my nannies when I was living in Dominican Republic, when I was, a child. And it just led me down this journey of like this self-discovery of who I am as a daughter, as a woman, as a child of God.
Yeah.
I was married for 10 years. And so that realization came to me after. So I also started thinking about who I am and how I show up in relationships,
Oh, wow.
romantic, but also just in how I show up with my friendships, at work. I mean, everything. When I started to question who I am at my core. And what I came to is I am a forgiven, I am a whole, I am a loved child of God. And so the book really centers around forgiveness. I want to say one of the main questions that I asked, and we talked about this last time I was here, is how do you forgive the unforgivable? I think that was the biggest question, like my existential question that I had to ask myself. How do I get to a place where I can forgive all of the unforgivable things that I've been through in my life? And that really is kind of what started this journey of writing the book. And then, of course, once I had the book, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with this book? And then, events, live events, and, being part of other people's events and speaking on their stages and being on other people's podcasts, starting my own podcast, just cultivating a lot of things. And like any founder, like any entrepreneur, we run into all sorts of wonderful problems that we get to solve, right? And so I've been away for a little bit. I've been away for a little bit, solving those amazing problems that have caused me to grow and discover things about myself that I didn't know, good and bad, I would say, that have now led me to where I am now, which is, okay, now we get to pick up where I left off, I would say, and create something new. So one of my mentors, Ryan Zofe, shout out to Ryan Zofe, he always teaches us to see problems as a worthy adversary, a worthy opponent, right? And so it's, problems love me. I love problems and problems love me. So I get to solve a problem. I get to bring value to a problem if I'm solving it for someone else. And I get to create new.
That's good.
So that's where I am at right now.
Oh, that's amazing. So, Annel, one of the biggest things that it's so inspirational about your story is that you saw it and then you actually investigated and discovered something about yourself. What was that self-discovery process like? And what was the main reason that you not only discovered, but then you wrote a book inviting other people to heal and be discovered?
So it didn't happen all at once. It was a series of God tugs at my heart. And that's putting it really gently, you know.
Yeah.
I'm always joking around. People always sound like it's a holy chancleta, right? That he throws at me sometimes. And after a series of them, you're just like, okay, God, like, maybe I need to write this book. So it was one of those things where I kept sharing bits and pieces of my story at a small group with a friend. And the answer to that share for 4 straight years was, wow, you should write a book. So you get that for 4 years. And then you get to a point where like, well, I think we should write a book.
Yeah.
And God gave me like the literal vision. My spiritual gift is not necessary. I don't think it's visions because I've only had like 3 in my whole life.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's a pronounced gift. I do get visions when it's something really important. And the way that God gave me the let's write a book was it was a vision. It was a crazy vision. And I write about it in the book. And yeah, I was like, well, I don't even journal. So I don't know how we're going to write this book. So I'm going to need you to send me some people and some resources. And you know what? When you ask with belief in your heart,
Oh, that's good.
God moves, you know. A prayer of the righteous person, you know, reaches heaven. And so he sent me people. He sent me a coach. He sent me the resources to pay for that coach because that price had a comma in it. When I saw it, I was like, okay, Jesus, like, here's the bill.
Yeah.
And with one phone call, it was taken care of.
Oh, that's amazing.
So no, it was just miracles on miracles that literally brought forth the book. And so then the rest was up to me. It was actually for me to write it.
Yeah.
He brought all the resources together. And so my coach understood the assignment. And so we recorded, we voice recorded the entire book. He turned it into a manuscript for me that was like
Thick.
a gazillion pages long. And that took about 5 years to edit
Wow.
the first 6 chapters. Because every time I sat down, I had to relive these stories. I had to place myself in the traumatic story. And it was really difficult for me. I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, chapters 1 and 2 took like 4 years. Because every time I would sit down, I would relive the trauma.
Wow.
So understanding that I'm like, I'm never going to get through this book if I don't deal with this. So it was, you know, deliverances. It was counseling, therapy, talking with my parents. There was, it got to the point, I want to say once I started writing around chapter 4, where I'm like, okay, well, we're doing this book. I got to talk to them and understand why we never talk about this. Then I
Yeah.
found out that my parents didn't even know. So I was mad at my parents for the entirety of my life up to that point. And then I realized how much time I had wasted with my anger, how much time I had wasted being angry at my parents and not being their daughter. And they didn't even know.
Wow.
So that was actually one of the biggest realizations about unforgiveness, bitterness, and anger that God gave me was look at all the time. Even though God can redeem time, but he specifically showed me, look at all the time that you could have been loved, that you could have loved them, that you could have made memories with them, but your heart was hardened and bitter and angry. And I made some choices within that bitterness and anger that would have been completely different or not even made if I would have known better, right? And that's really my message, especially when I talk on stage is, you know, what is the cost in your life right now of your bitterness, your heart hardness, and your anger? What is it costing you in your life right now?
Wow. So not only did you have to go and relive these experiences, you also had to bring new information to people that didn't even know what you were going through. And I guess that's one of the things I want to kind of discover, is because people say write a book, right? People think writing a book,
I don't
like even in business, in this founder entrepreneurship journey, launch. Everyone just thinks it's one linear battle, but like you said, it took time, and then it took healing, and then hard conversations behind this book. What do you say? What can you say about that journey of, okay, it's not just sitting down, I'm gonna set my timer here and I'm gonna do my productivity
you
hack.
can't be using Claude for this one. That's all I'm gonna say. I mean, you could. One thing, I think the thing that I'm the most proud of about the book is that it's legitimately my story. I specifically didn't want to write a memoir about Annel's life. That's not what I wanted to do here. I specifically wanted to write a story about how incredible, reliable, faithful, and miraculous my God is.
Oh, that's good.
Through my life, like the things that happened in my life. So that was a very specific way of writing a book. If you are an entrepreneur and you're teaching someone something and you're teaching information, you're gonna have to ask God for that angle for you, right? So that's different. When you're writing about your story and your perspective of a story, you kind of have to understand, okay, well, what do I want my reader to take away? Am I just showing them information, or do I want them to have a transformative experience while reading this book? And at the end, when they're at the last page, what is the takeaway? Right? So if you're teaching someone a methodology about how to scale their business, that's completely different than what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's great. I need that book. But when you're talking about transformation from heaven, you're talking about like Jesus coming into your life and rescuing you out of, you know, whatever it is that he rescued you out of. It's a different way of writing a book, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a right or wrong, it's both and. Right? They're both great. They're both needed, but they require something different from the writer.
Yeah.
You know, my book is incredibly personal, and I can't tell you how, I say this very humbly, how shocked I am. You know, I remember being done with the last page. I remember like the PDF. I remember sending it off to my coach and closing my laptop and being like, and even if only one person reads it.
Wow.
I did what God asked me to do. I was obedient to what God asked me to do. If I don't ever sell a book, I don't care, because I didn't write this book to sell books. This was, God gave me a task and I'm gonna fulfill it. It took me 8 years, but I'm gonna do it, right? So it's the heart posture of obedience. And I talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to the healing, right? So it's a three-part book. It's a three-part book. My true life story of forgiveness, healing, and hope. This was the forgiveness book.
Oh.
And then healing, and then hope, and they all stack on each other because it's like three pillars of life.
Yeah.
You know, there's no healing without forgiveness, and there's no hope without forgiveness and healing. You need all three. And that was a big revelation that God gave me while I was writing this book. It's like, okay, well, I want to heal.
Yeah.
Well, you can't heal without forgiveness. Like, if you want to feel the peace that surpasses all understanding, and you want to be enveloped in the love of God, and you want to really truly feel that, you got to go forgive. I mean, in the Bible, it always points you, you know, if you're at the altar, you know, giving an offering and you have something against your brother, leave your offering at the altar and go reconcile with your brother. I mean, it's repeated in the Bible that if you have unforgiveness, you need to go resolve that.
Yeah.
With whoever that is. And then come sacrifice to God, because the unforgiveness is what stops your prayers. It's what stops miracles in your life. It's a foothold for the enemy to get into your life and, wreak havoc. And so the root of unforgiveness is so important to eradicate out of your life, out of your heart. It's the beginning of heart hardness. So forgiveness is the first thing. And then the healing is a process that happens over time. The healing is the byproduct of the forgiveness.
Yeah.
The humility that it takes to say you're sorry to someone that you're not sorry. Like you're not the one, you're not the party at fault, right? The humbleness, the humility that it takes to like lower yourself and say, you know what? I'm doing this because God tells me to humble myself, not because they deserve it or because they're honorable and they deserve it. No, it's because I'm honorable to the word of God. And I'm just going to follow his direction on this one.
That's amazing. And so there's so much to unpack what you said, but there was a lot of key moments that I really took out of that. And one thing that is so funny, you're an author who doesn't care about the sell of a book, but that the book touches someone's life.
Yes.
And that the book teaches someone how to forgive, or at least models forgiveness, love, and restoration of the heart. And that's kind of like why we're in business, right? A lot of people are chasing a transaction. So people say it's an author. Well, of course, Annel cares about book sales. She cares about hearts that are healed. And that's one thing that I would love to ask, like, how did that mission go beyond just the book? Like a lot of people are like, well, I wrote the book and I'm done. I'm healed. It is, but no, it's still tugging at your soul. Like, like how is that transcending just the book, transcending everything? Because between you and me, you talked about how you had the online communities, the followers, all of the different things. You touched so many different people. And you were like, I'm doing this because people need it, not because I'm trying to sell something. So speak to that. Speak to that.
Well, I think that's why I love the partnership with Startup Miami so much, is because it's about being on mission. And a lot of people, it's almost like Christianese, like being on mission, and it becomes part of the lexicon, becomes part of the vocabulary that we used to speak. And then like, what does that mean? What does it mean to be on mission? So for me and the community of, Gracefully Broken, Beautifully Healed, that started even before the book started.
Yeah.
So I've been a part of an organization called Global Innovative Foundation since late 2018, early 2019, and I've been on the board for a long time. I just finished 2-year term of being the chairwoman of the board for the organization. And all we do, the only thing that we're dedicated to, is the survivors of human trafficking, domestic violence, and gun violence.
Wow.
And every person on the board is so incredible. I want to say, I remember many times sitting at this table. The board is huge. It's like 40 people. Doctor, nurse, neurosurgeon, law enforcement, sheriff. I mean, like so many
accomplished
important people to our society who have the same mission to eradicate violence against women and children, but specifically human trafficking, domestic violence, and gun violence. So I'm gonna throw out some stats in case you don't know. Miami-Dade County is the #1 county in Florida as a state for human trafficking and domestic violence and murder against women. Okay, so the violence against women.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And we are also number three in the country, the whole country, for human trafficking. We're a port city. It makes sense. There's a lot of things that don't make it to the news. And because I'm sitting at a table with law enforcement, I'm sitting at the table with judges, I'm sitting at the table with commissioners and mayors and, people from Tallahassee that are lobbyists and lawmakers. It doesn't necessarily make it onto the 6 o'clock news, but they're giving us this information.
Wow.
That, hey, you know what? We just did a bust for 300 children at Disney or in Gainesville, or we collaborated with law enforcement in Georgia and there were 300 kids in a basement, or there's so many things.
Wow.
So many things that are happening, and we as a society need to get off of this.
What is this? Speak
This
to
is
it.
the scrolling.
The scrolling.
Because we are a very distracted society, and all we care about is my page aesthetic, and do I look rich, and yada yada, right? So I'm not hating on you, but we really need to
Wake
get
up.
outside of ourselves. If you have children in your life that you care about, you have women and young people in your life that you care about, you need to educate yourself about how often a woman, no matter what age,
Yeah.
is concerned about her safety daily. Daily. The number one apex predator of women is men. And that sucks even to say. Men don't understand why women are so fed up. We're fed up.
Yeah.
The violence is real. And so I have a heart for men. I want to create spaces where men can feel safe and heard and they can express themselves. The male mental crisis that we're in right now is
Yeah.
real. But also, women are tired of being,
The punching bag.
we're the ones that get the brunt of it, right? And so we need to figure out how to get back to a society where we love people and use things, and not use people and love things, which is where we're at right now.
Wow.
And that's the conundrum. That's like the societal problem that we're in right now, is how do we get back to a society where we don't just use people and love things, but we love people and we use things.
That's amazing. That's amazing anecdote, and I hope people are taking notes.
No.
One thing the one thing that's a recurring thing for everyone who seems to happen on the stage, they're in some type of community, or they found the people and then they go embark on it. Like, you found the people. I didn't even know you were a chairwoman of an organization. I had no idea.
I keep a lot of things on the low, you know what I
But
mean?
no, that you have, and you're moving that impact at full throttle. And it's funny because as much as you're an author, you're a champion of a cause more than you're anything else.
Which is why if I don't ever sell a book, it doesn't impact me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, to be honest, I don't think I've ever logged on to Amazon and been like, how many books did we sell? Like, I still don't even know how many books I sold, to be honest. I know how many I printed. I've given a lot of them away.
Yeah.
I keep a box in my car, and whenever I'm having a conversation with someone and I'm like, I feel the Lord tug at my heart, I'm like, you know what, this book is gonna help you, and I just sign it for them and I give it away. So like, I'm literally not in the business of selling books, which all my our entrepreneurial people are gonna be like, what
What are you doing?
are you talking about?
Yeah.
But it's not, I don't know.
So if you're not in the business, as an author, if you're not in the business of making and selling books, what are you in the business of, Annel?
Transforming lives. I know that sounds kind of cheesy sometimes, but it's true. It's true. Because, well, there's a book that changed my life, right?
Yeah.
You know, the Bible changed my life, right?
Yeah.
Books change lives. And so I wouldn't want someone to not get the revelation that God gave me because they can't afford the $25. That would be crazy.
Yeah.
You know, not only that. So it's a donation because 30% of the proceeds of every book sold wherever, whether you're buying it from me out of my car, like a book dealer, and
Old
you
school.
know, right? Or from Amazon or wherever you buy the book. 30% of the proceeds of that goes back to Global Innovative Foundation.
Wow.
And that's a donation that I do quarterly. And so, and that's until we get to $100,000. That was a pledge that I did to the organization even before we had a book.
Wow.
That's actually why I kept seeking out. I knew the moment that I knew that I was going to write a book, I wanted to align myself with an organization that I cared about the cause to create a vehicle that created revenue for that cause.
Wow.
More than I could donate out of my own paycheck, more than I could donate from like a tithe or something. I wanted to create a vehicle that even without me, it would continue to fund that cause. And so it happened to be a book. It could be something else later in the future. Maybe we talk about some merch. But anything that I do as far as Gracefully Broken, Beautifully Healed, anything that has a ticket to it. So if I do live events, 30% of that also goes to Global Integrated Foundation. So this is a vehicle to create revenue to help rescue more people out of human trafficking. There's over 22 million people still in 2026. Over 22 million people are still in slavery. Slavery has not ended. That is smoke and mirrors. There's more people enslaved today than there have ever been in the history of the world. And it's a 150 billion, with a B, billion-dollar industry per year. That's more than sports, global movie entertainment. That's more revenue than we can even like fathom because it's so big. How do you take that down? How do you take a $150 billion industry down? And it's one person at a time.
Wow.
One person at a time stopping. We're going to get some, disclaimer, one person at a time stopping to watch porn. Because a good number, I'm going to say between 60 to 70% of porn is young people that are underage. They're children.
Wow.
Anyone under the age of 18 is a child, is a minor. And it's not happening in some weird country off. No. It's happening here in the United States. It's in our backyards. It's the average white American. I'm going to say it. Sorry, I know we're race sensitive, but it's the average American between 18 and 35 is the number one consumer of underage corn material.
That is crazy.
So if we kill the demand for this kind of material, it would directly impact their bottom line. So if you wanna join the cause, start there. Everyone can do that.
That's amazing.
Everyone can do that. And then just get yourself educated. You know, every 8 seconds a child disappears in the United States.
Say that again?
Every 8 seconds, a child disappears in the United States. I did the math for you. That's close to 10,000 children a day. That's 800,000 about. It's like 780 something, 100,000 children a year. And there's going to be comments where that's exaggerated. Yeah, talk to the state attorney, the Honorable Kathy Fernandez Rondo in her office, and see their figures. Those are verified numbers.
Annel.
This is serious. This is very serious. This is very serious.
The mission is beyond.
Mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. That's why people like, what's the footballer's name? That guy.
Which one? There's a lot of footballers.
Like the best quarterback of all time.
Tom Brady?
The other guy.
The other guy. Peyton Manning? Joe Montana?
No. Okay.
Those are definitely the top three.
Clearly, I don't know football. We're gonna have to clip this.
Yes.
We're gonna have to clip this, right?
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have to look this up. He does Night to Shine.
Tim Tebow?
Tim Tebow.
So
Tim Tebow. Okay, so Tim Tebow. That is why people like Tim Tebow are getting on board.
Yeah.
He has a wonderful cause, and he's starting to understand that he can use his platform for to educate the public about the horrors of human trafficking.
Yeah.
Tim Ballard, who is the founder of Underground
Railroad?
Rescue. And that's actually how I found out that I was trafficked. So it was 2016. So Instagram wasn't even popular back then. It was 2016. And I was sitting in an arena at a business conference. And in the middle of the intermission of the sessions, there's a man and a microphone and a bar stool, and behind him is black and white footage. It's CCTV footage, and I'm kind of understanding, and then I see in the camera footage in the background a child getting like a motorcycle, and then there's a person in the back, and they snap up a child, and then they leave. And it triggered a memory for me. It was a nightmare that I had been having since I could remember, where I was shoved in a car. And it made me realize in that moment, as he was talking about him going to Colombia as an FBI agent and rescuing 25 children. So The Sound of Freedom, which was a movie that came out a couple years ago, is based on Tim Ballard's life. And he was retelling that story, basically the entire plot of that movie. He was saying that on stage in 2016. And that's how I came to understand that I had been trafficked.
Wow.
And that memory, that the nightmare that I had been living as an adult for many years
Was a memory.
was my brain trying to tell me that this was a memory. This was something that happened. And that's how I started this entire journey. That was in 2016.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, it was crazy. And I got to meet him. Obviously, I didn't know who he was. I just got to meet him. And I don't even remember if he was like selling a book or something. You know what I mean? But yeah. And so that was the beginning of, as they say, the rest is history. That literally was a pivotal moment in my life to be able to hear him firsthand, his firsthand testimony of how he left his FBI job, adopted one of those children of the 25, that first mission that he rescued in Colombia, and has dedicated his entire life, the rest of his life after that. It impacted him so much that he has dedicated his entire life to rescuing children out of human slavery.
Wow. So Annel, my question is,
it's a lot.
No,
It's a lot. It's a really deep rabbit hole, and I'm going very, very surface. I know, shameless plug. I highly recommend for you to read my book because I go through different situations in my life where trafficking was all around me and I didn't even know it. And then speaking with my mom and with my aunts and, uncles and cousins, it's something that you don't understand how prevalent it is, abuse in general, how prevalent it is in your family until you start digging. And so it just became something that I couldn't ignore anymore. It got to the point where I was digging and I'm like, okay, well, we're just going to spill it all. We're just going to spill it all, because if this is my family and just me talking about it with certain members of my family impacted them, like, hey, I didn't know that happened to you. I'm like, I didn't know that happened to you. Then later I learned about generational curses. Something like, again, part of the lexicon. We talk about it all the time. But when you start to understand generational curses, how doors get opened, how the devil takes a foothold in a generation and then the generation after. And then it was like, okay, well, nobody in my family understands this. I'm starting to understand it. I have a choice. I can ignore it and let this continue to happen to my own children, even when they come. Or do I take a stand and plant a flag and become the one to break it off? And that's not an easy choice, because it's a really hard thing to do. I've spent the last 8 to 10 years of my life, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars in programs and mentorships and deliverances and conferences and all of the things. And I'm still, there's always a new level. My last deliverance was in, when was it? I want to say like March of 2025, right before I released the book.
Wow.
Right before the launch party. And for the first time was the first time that I didn't manifest. Like, it was the first time that it was like calm.
Wow.
And it was like, okay, but that took 9 years of like constant like pursuit of closing doors and breaking down altars and Lord, where else? Show me. Show me what else. Show me what else. You know, in the digging, I found out that my grandfather was a very high level Freemason,
Wow.
like a very high level Freemason, which explains a lot.
Uh-huh.
I was like, okay, got it. And there was a lot of, you know, I'm from Dominican Republic, and even though it's a very religious country, it's a very superstitious country as well. There are a lot of superstition and a lot of witchcraft disguised as other things or disguised as part of religion. And so many doors and so many footholds were open even through myself. Again, following through in traditions, following through in that's just what we do. These are rituals that we follow on certain days or when certain conditions happen, you know, like if it's sunny and it's raining, it means this. And, you know, just participating in the superstition, you're participating in the witchcraft, right? So those are all different episodes where that's just other topics that we could talk about. But once you start to understand, once you are in your word and you start to understand the character of God and you start to understand the truth, and what does the Bible say? The truth will set you free. You start asking God to open your eyes and to drop scales from your eyes and to show you and to, you know, heighten your discernment for certain things and to see certain things. I mean, I've seen some of the craziest supernatural manifestations. Crazy. Like out of a movie crazy. That have been witnessed by other people. So it's not like I'm crazy or making it up. No, like I've seen things I've been in the presence of my mother. And we're both looking at each other like, did you see that? Like craziness, right? They've gotten less and less as I've gotten more and more in my word. You know, so it's, and I say that with a smile because I used to live terrified of going to sleep. I used to be terrified of being alone. I used to be terrified of being in silence because I would hear voices. And so once again, these are really deep rabbit holes. This is not for the faint of heart. Not for the faint of heart. But if you are determined to be the one in your family to stop the craziness of the devil in your family and in generations and for your children, you got to mount up and put on that armor and just like, okay, God, you told me that the victory is yours.
Exactly.
You told me that I'm a conqueror. And so I'm going to trust your word. And I'm going to do whatever you tell me to do. If that means writing a book, I'm going to write a book.
Annel, so you've not only... So Annel, the champion of the cause, way more than she is an author. Annel, what's next?
Woo! What's next?
Because you got 10 years, more than 10 years of fighting this cause in multiple different ways. Yourself, your own funds, being a chair, doing your own help, freeing your family, going through all these different... What is the next step for you, and what does that look like for you?
That's a great question. I mean, that's such a great question, such a loaded question. What I will say is I'm going to continue to be obedient to what God said to go do, right?
Okay.
So I don't know how long it's going to take, but second book is coming.
Okay.
Right? Right? Hopefully it won't be 8 years. I am determined for it to not be 8 years, I promise. I think it's become very clear to me that people want to gather in rooms and talk about these things. And so sometime before the end of the year, a live event.
Okay.
Where we can dive deep into some of these topics. I'd love to start working with people. If you are in a place where any of this conversation resonates with you and you'd like some guidance and you got like some coaching, so we're gonna start coaching. Yeah, lots of things.
Lots of things.
Definitely some merch.
4,000%.
Definitely the podcast. So the Road to Redemption will be coming back. It was a love project that I started last year with a friend. You know, they're busy doing other things that, you know, God called them to do. And so I really, really love the platform. So the Road to Redemption as a podcast is literally a place for people to come and talk about the road to redemption, you know, from where God picked them up to the journey and then where they are now. and inspiring people to share their testimony. In the word, it says, confess your sins to God to be forgiven and confess your sins to each other to be healed. So if we're
Amen.
talking about healing, there's power in your testimony, and it heals people, it heals you, and it gives space for other people to share their testimony. I don't care what God brought you through. Your testimony matters. The other day, I'm going to butcher this. I don't remember their name.
Yeah.
I was watching a podcast. I don't know which podcast. I watch a lot of them. And the husband of the girl was talking about, hey, I'm a pastor's kid and I didn't get rescued, quote unquote, from anything. I saw all of the people my parents were counseling and I learned from their mistakes
Wow.
to not go out and party or get drunk or be promiscuous. So my testimony is that I did everything in my power to do it God's way from the beginning. And that's a beautiful testimony. So it doesn't have to be all crazy and worldly for it to be a powerful testimony to change people's lives. So that's the Road to Redemption as a podcast.
Okay.
And so new episodes will be coming soon.
Yeah, so we have a podcast, we have coaching, we have a second book. That's amazing.
She's busy.
Yeah, no, she's
busy.
definitely busy.
You haven't seen me in a while because you're busy.
So, Annel, this has definitely been, for a lot of different people, eye-opening, sometimes shocking,
Yeah.
but ultimately, I think, liberating in a way.
Yeah.
How can people find and connect with you so they can learn more, be an ally, stop watching porn, get right, all of those different things? What are the ways in which people can start taking the first step to answer the call, to stop funding or being aware or numb or blind to this industry that's destroying our children, our women, our men, all of these different things?
Yeah.
Where can they start?
They can start by following me on social. You can find me on social. It's my first and last name. It's Anel_DE_Castro. All right. So connect with me that way. If you watch this episode and you just want to connect, send me a DM. I answer all of them. There's also Beautifully Healed. So at Beautifully Healed __, which is the Instagram for the book. And you can look through the content there. I
Yeah.
actually did a series late last year where I read through the book. It's a 24-part series. I read a couple pages of the book and then I would give more insight. It also showed me that I can expand on there's a lot of things, because again, hindsight is 20/20, right? So when I wrote the book 8 years ago, I'm obvious who I am now is not the person who
Exactly.
wrote that book, right? Or that portion of the book. So I noticed that there were things that were not necessarily missing, but that I could have added more context
Yeah.
or more detail to what I was feeling or experiencing at that point of the story. And so a lot of people found it very valuable to look through those videos where I'm reading the book. So I'm giving you the cadence of how I'm writing and reading the book, right? And then I'm also giving you insight that I got afterwards. I read the book twice before I published it. And so the book actually that on this stage I was reading from when I did the launch had all my notes in it. And I realized how much I could expand on it as well. So maybe before the healing book, we'll do like a second edition or something.
Yeah, 1000%. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is not just the author, but the champion of a cause, a woman on a mission, a woman that's healing and inspiring others. You know where to find her. You know where to reach her. And this has been another episode of Launched, featuring Anel De Castro with Start of Miami.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff.